Allison with Cordial Dispatch for coming this evening. Ms. Gloria Ruth Finley with Channel 24 News. Kelly and Shane Leverett with Kelly Leverett Films and Photos LLC. And at this time, we want to thank you, Bruce, Jeff, Lee, and Lloyd for participating tonight to help our community make informed decisions. If any of you have interest in learning more about the Wilcox County Chamber of Commerce or joining us, please stop by our table at the back with Jeremy King. He'll give you the information. We'd love more members. All of this is possible tonight because the members of the Chamber of Commerce invited everyone here and put it together. Our moderator tonight is Mr. Rick Smart, a lifelong resident of Cordial and well known in our area for his work in TV and radio. Ricky retired on September the 1st after 44 years in radio and television broadcasting, finishing his career as general manager of South Georgia Television. If you will, please help me welcome Mr. Ricky Smart.
Well, good evening and welcome to this candidates forum. Thank you to the Wilcox County Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this. So glad to see this good crowd. Thank you for being here. We're going to get started and we're going to go right through this. Just a few little quick ground rules. First of all, if you have a cell phone, anybody here that don't have a cell phone? Well, if you got one, turn it off or put it on silent, if you will, please. So let's please do that. The candidates had an opportunity to draw a number just a few minutes ago, and they are seated in the way they drew their numbers. Mr. Jeff Wessel, number 1, Bruce Carmichael, number 2, Lee Ramirez, number 3, and Lloyd Bloodworth, number 4. Now, the way this thing is going to play out, each candidate will have the opportunity for an opening statement for up to 3 minutes. Now, following the opening statement, we're going to go into questions. Now, these questions have been submitted by social media to the Wilcox County Chamber of Commerce. These questions have been selected. I have the questions. They're in a sealed envelope. I have not even taken a look at these. The candidates have not looked at these, and so we're all going to hear these for the first time. Now, one of these questions might just happen to be yours. I'm going to ask you, please, I know that you're all here in support of the candidate of your choice, which is absolutely right and proper. I'm going to ask you to please refrain any kind of response after the question has been answered. Please refrain from any kind of response. Now, once the forum is over, we're going to thank these gentlemen for their time and for their candidacy with a big round of applause. But please remember that. But they're going to have up to 3 minutes for an opening statement. Following that, when we get into the questions, each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer the question. We do have a timekeeper. Miss Nikki is our timekeeper, and she is going to be showing us the card. Show us what you've got now, Miss Nikki. Candidates, you'll see a green card for 1 minute. You'll see a blue card for 30 seconds. You'll see a red card which says stop. But now, if you happen to be in the midst of your final sentence of your response, go ahead and finish that, and then we'll move on to the next candidate. And I think that is pretty much all the ground rules that we need to get started with. And so we're going to begin. First of all, I think what we should do, just if you will indulge me, I'm a pastor, I get indulgence, okay? And so indulge me for just a second. Can we stand and ask for a word of prayer? Most kind and gracious and merciful Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the day, the blessings. We thank you for these gentlemen who are seated before us, those who have offered for election in such an important race in this county. We pray, Lord, your special blessings upon each one. Lord, we pray your special blessings upon this gathering tonight, that we might hear from each candidate clearly, that we can make our choice, and then that blessing that you have given us to be able to go to the polls and vote our choice. Lord, that we would go to the polls and we would pull the lever and we would vote. But most of all, Father, that you would be magnified, you would be glorified tonight, and that you would be lifted up. Lord, forgive us where we fail you so many times. It is in the blessed and the holy name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you. And so we'll begin tonight with opening statements. We're going to begin with candidate Jeff Wessel. Mr. Wessel.
Thank you, Mr. Small. I'm Jeff Wilson. I'm working for the Office of Sheriff of Wilcox County. I have a lot of familiar faces out there. Some I don't recognize, some I haven't seen in quite some time. So let me just kind of who I am. I was born in Kentucky and lived there till about the age of 10. My dad was transferred to outside of Chicago, graduated high school there. Then Uncle Sam brought me down to Georgia, to Fort Benning, Georgia, outside of Columbus, Georgia. So if you're questioning this accent, lack of accent, that's what it's from. Influenced by 3 different states. So, so enlisted in the Army in 1986. Served in Fort Benning with the 3rd ranking battalion. During my time there, I met my wife, Dee Wessel. After dating for a couple of years while enlisted there, I moved back home and then realized she was who I wanted to be with. And so I moved down here with her family. Had the pleasure of living with her grandmother, slow so reason. A great influence on my life. Once here, I'm employed with Georgia Department of Corrections in 1995. And during that time, well, let me back up actually before. We had our oldest son, Jeffrey, brother here with his wife, David. After joining corrections, we had our second son, James Wessel, who was on the way. He got called back to work because of making class. And then our daughter, Joseph. And her parents who have been a great, huge influence to and to me, Mr. Morris always since January. Been with the Department of Corrections for 28 plus years. 25 of those have been assigned to the Fugitive Task Force. This time,
Bruce Carmichael, your opening statement, please.
You got too many cameras in here.
Louder,
Louder.
louder.
I said, you got too many cameras in here, Ron. Got, all right, first off, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be the one, y'all are the ones gonna choose who's gonna be the next sheriff. All right, thank you. But my name is Bruce Carmichael. My name is, anyway. But, she get me, about flying him. Anyway, my name's Bruce Carmichael. I work for the Wilcox County Sheriff's Office now on about 14 years experience with the Sheriff's Office and the PD. At the PD, I served as police chief of Adville for a couple of years. With that experience, I say I bring a lot to the table with administration wise. Everything that went along with administration is gonna help build this office, but that's just something I bring to the table. I've been a K-9 officer. I've been in narcotics for a while, so I believe that experience brings to the streets where I can get the drugs kind of knocked out. Can't get rid of them, but I can you can't get rid of them, but we can still slow them down. But like I say, I love this community. This is why I'm running. I want to be a part of this community. I've always been part, but I'm looking to serve you further. And like I say, thank y'all for coming out. And thank you.
Lee Ramirez, your opening statement, please.
Have to check, make sure it was on. My name is Lee Ramirez, or as some people in this county refer to my family as Ramirez, which is what a lot of people in the county still call us. I'm the son of Mike and Melanie. Well, now Melanie Sapp, my stepdad, Van Sapp, sitting next to my wife over there. I currently have 18 years in law enforcement. I began my career with the Cordell Police Department in 2006. And I have worked at various other agencies, mid-size and small size over 18 years. And I've held multiple titles at those agencies, ranging from patrol supervisor, to a criminal investigator. And, like I said, my wife is sitting right there with my brother Corey. I know if y'all don't know me, you know Corey. I'm married to Sheena Parks, and we have 3 children together. They all go to school here in this county, and both of us are from this county, and I would like to do as much as possible to benefit the citizens of this county, because neither of us have any intention of leaving. That's all I have to say right now.
Lloyd Bloodworth, your opening statement, please.
I see a lot of familiar faces back them, but six of them I don't know. But I just wanna thank each and every one of them for coming, because this is a very important decision to make this county. I was born and raised here in Wilcox County. It's my home.
It's done, you got talking into it.
Okay.
Put it up to your mouth.
I'll get it up closer. But, I was born and raised here, that's funny. I was born and raised here in Wilcox County, lived here all my life. Started off farming on the family farm. And then I went to work with the sheriff's department, and it was around 1980. I worked there until May of '89. And during that tenure, though, with the sheriff's department, we had, the largest drug bust that I'm familiar with in Wilcox County history. We, worked with the DEA and US Customs, worked side by side, and, we wound up getting about a $393 million value of cocaine. And that took us a lot of undercover work to do that, but I'm very familiar with how to do those type things. And working with other agencies also helps a lot. But, going to work there, I met my wife Angie, and we've been married 38 years. I have a daughter Ashley and a son Philip. And we all reside in Wilcox County with the exception of Philip, and he's doing fellowship up in Wake Forest. We hope to get him back home one day. But, we have some problems in the county. We have deputy retention. We need to get more deputies. We need to keep them when we give them. And whatever that goes. And, I'm already seeing them flags, so I'm gonna kind of end it right along there.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. We'll begin with our questions. Remember, you'll have up to 2 minutes for your response. Time will start when you begin your response. Question number 1, and if you need the question to be asked again, just be sure to let me know that you need the question asked again, and your time will begin when your response begins. Question number 1, we're going to begin with candidate Jeff Wessel and go right down the line. Question number 1, how would you address the issue of hiring and retaining qualified quality employees for the sheriff's office?
That's a very difficult task throughout law enforcement, not just here locally, not just here in the state, nationally. Recruitment has become very difficult under the current culture that our country is in. The current position that I'm in is the special agent in charge of the Fusion Apprehension Unit. I've had to relieve personnel and then also recruit and hire personnel to fill those positions. And it's selecting the correct person for that position takes a lot of work, um, background on that individual. But here in the county, my thoughts on that is to start recruiting within the county to develop, even at the high school level, those that lose an interest in law enforcement, to give them that pathway, to show them what they need to get into law enforcement. If we're unable to pull from local, then obviously we would have to seek from outside. And we obviously select best candidate for that position. With my background and years of experience that I've got, I've been able to obtain a lot of training, 3,000 hours of specialized training. And I recognize the importance of providing that for the officers, for the deputies. Not just to ensure that they can do their job, but also for their self-development to advance themselves within law enforcement in their career. Is that red flag? You need a bigger one.
Mr. Carmichael?
Just like Jeff said, we're going to do a recruitment from inside the county, because outside the county, all these other veterans here are making way more than we are. So you're gonna have to recruit from inside the county until we get the money. Then I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. That'll be up to our commission. But until then, we gonna have to go out and try to go to these training academies and try to get the ones that went precinct, whether it's in or several. I mean, you just gonna have to have a selective process to have good county deputies. I mean, we've tried to hire some this week and they're troubled. And I'm not gonna hire a deputy that's troubled and fired from him before. For these guys, or me, whoever wins the race to take over. So, I mean, it's hard. It's 17.5 an hour working by himself, they just won't have to go. So, I mean, we're gonna have to come up with some kind of strategy or plan to get it done. Okay.
Mr. Ramirez?
I do agree with what Jeff and Bruce have said, but, I have been speaking to former, county employees and current county employees. And I would like to say first that I have no intention of raising the starting pay for the deputies, because we're a low tax basis county. And if elected, I don't want to do that, even though every other county around us pays more, because it doesn't do for the citizens that, they'll see, well, they just gave the deputy more money, but he hasn't produced any results yet. So I don't think that's fair. But I will say this, when I was talking to those former and current county employees, I do think there are options where we could, improve and hire people over here, and starting with the insurance the county provides. Family plans on the insurance the county provides are ranging between $700 to $1,000 a month. And that's a lot of money, and adults are gonna look at that before they take a job. So I was able to find 7 other insurance companies that we might, if I could sit down with the county commissioners and we could have conversations about this, and the head of the road department and the EMS, because that's something that needs to be for all the county employees, not just the sheriff's office. We want to keep good people here all the way around. And if we can offer a better insurance package, and I mean, that's kind of like getting a $2 or $3 raise right there. If we can cut back on the family cost of insurance. So I just think that's another good idea right there. And if someone's happy at where they're working, peace of mind goes a long way as opposed to more paycheck. I'm firsthand experience with that. I've led places. I wouldn't work places for less money, but the environment was a lot better, and it wasn't like a toxic environment or a bad workplace. I didn't have a boss to forget where he came from.
Mr. Bloodworth?
All of those, are things that you can look at, but when it all comes down to it, the people that come to work here, they want good leadership. And I think if you have good leadership, and if they're satisfied with their job, they're gonna stay. And I just feel, I know a lot of them come from out of county, you have to get them sometimes, but the people in the county, they know our citizens. If we get them from different areas of the county, I think that would go a long ways too, than helping us all the way around, because the deputy would know the people would know the deputy. And I just think that would create a better atmosphere, but sure, they need money. We all do. I mean, folks on wherever they work, and I'm sure they wouldn't turn down another dollar or two an hour, because they do need money to get by. And they risk their life every single day. But I do hear people fuss about what they're making. And you know, who would get out there for $17 an hour and put your life on the line every day? And I'm gonna be kind of winding up there, but I think we can go with that aspect to help get better votes in.
Michael, we'll begin with you, sir. How do you plan to address the current conditions of the county's jail?
There's no other plan, but that jail has to be tore down. I mean, there's no fixing it. You can only polish it so much that either we're gonna have to start housing out, getting a contract for somebody like Irwin County Detention Center or something like that, until we get another jail built. I said, but until then, that jail is not fit. I mean, so what, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's gonna cost the county some money. But the only thing is, housing out, you're gonna have a transport officer. You're gonna have to have somebody, because we only got one deputy on per shift, so you're gonna have a transport officer to run back and forth. So then you gotta figure out the pay for a transport officer. But us, me and the commissioner or whoever, man, we just gonna have to come together and just, whatever the county can afford to get a new jail. If it's a 29-man jail, or if it's a 48-man jail, something's got to give.
Mr. Ramirez.
I agree with Bruce on his statement, wholeheartedly. I do believe the jail does need to be closed. And I was under the impression, and possibly hearsay, that the grand jury has already voted twice to have the jail closed and no longer be open again. So you are gonna have to have a transport officer, and then you do have to accommodate for the salary, not just the salary, insurance, and so on and so forth. But there are ways that we can sit down with the county commissioners and work something out. We just have to figure out a good place where we can house them that's not gonna break the bank, because some places are charging between $35, $45, $50 per inmate. So you have to take that into consideration as well. But I think the juice is worth the squeeze if we can get a new jail built that's up to code. Because honestly, I'm surprised Wilcox County has not been sued already because of the state of the jail. It just, it boggles my mind. And that's like visitation and everything else. It's so far behind the times, y'all. And it's just little things. If you sit down with the people, the county commissioners and who's ever doing these blueprints, and have adult conversations and not get into a squabble, and you can sit down and work it out, you can have a yard call area that's secure. You can have a visitation area that's secure. That'll cut down on your contraband coming into the jail. That's one less headache. It's just, and I got a little idea to help benefit. And if one of these guys wins, feel free to steal this idea. I really have always liked the idea of having a child custody drop-off point at the sheriff's office to serve the citizens of the county. You're already making parking stalls. You're already gonna have a camera out there with video and audio. Why not paint one of the parking stalls orange? Put a couple signs on it that says designated child drop-off point, and you're under video and audio surveillance. That way, if there's a problem, it's on camera. Most of the time, it'll keep people out.
Mr. Bloodworth.
we definitely need a new jail, that's no question about it. There's a lot of factors though that we would have to get with the commissioners and sit down with them, because I've done some research through the Georgia Sheriff's Association. And if you build over a certain size jail, where right now they use one jailer per shift, you would have to use 4 jailers per shift and a supervisor. So you're talking about that on every shift. That's gonna create a lot of more money to pay the extra employees. And on top of that, where are we gonna get that many employees to work at the jail? Because going from 1 to 5 per shift, that adds up over a 7-day week. But that's something that we just got to work on. We got, we can put it in the budget. But there's also the deal that we might can build a smaller jail for right now, a 34-bed jail. We wouldn't have to have those 5 if we built that. Go over it, you have to have it. And have it to where it can be added on to at a later date and time if we need it. But we just need to sit down, go over figures. The Georgia Sheriff's Association is ready to come down, sit with the commissioners, and let's go over this thing.
Mr. Wesson.
The jail has been a hot topic for a number of years, for good reason. I don't think there's a lot of sitting up here recognizing the state that all county jails in. Stop and think about it. Yeah, there's people from outside this county that were in that jail cell, but there's also our family and friends. Do we really want them to, they may have done wrong, but we feel that they need to endure those conditions in there. So, it's going to take collaboration with the sheriff's office, the county commissioners, working with, we have a prison here within the county. They're a great resource that we can turn to for guidance. They've built quite a few prisons. They also have with remote construction built jails as well. I think there's a number of options. We just have to get out there and research and find out what the best option is for our county. But the bottom line is something does need to be done about our jail.
Question number 3, Mr. Ramirez, will begin with you. How do you plan to set the Wilcox County Sheriff's Department up for success in your absence?
I hate to assume, but I'm assuming in my absence, if I'm out of town or indisposed in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you have to have, once again, it goes back to the staffing. You have to have adequate staff that you're comfortable with and confident in to handle the day-to-day and the evening shifts and third watch and night shift and everything else that comes along with it. As a post-certified, which is the Peace Officer Standards and Training Council for Georgia instructor, I can handle a lot of in-services and training in-house. Office of the Sheriff, they did updates, constitutional law, the use of force standards, the governor's initiative classes, community-oriented policing, what have you. I can handle all that, and the community deserves deputies who are confident in their skills and who are good, highly trained deputies. And I mean, everybody in there deserves that. My children, your grandchildren, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, everybody. So, and the whole in my absence part, me and Sheena don't really go anywhere a whole lot, guys. And if we do, it's usually not very far away. But I will say that I can, and I'm very confident in my abilities as an instructor and a trainer. And I do not hold back on that. Ask anybody who's attended any of my services that you don't think I won't fail you in a class because you're not paying attention, you are sorely mistaken.
Mr. Bloodworth?
I would have a chief deputy that I felt very comfortable with, that I would have him trained in all areas. And that way, if I did have to leave and was gone for a week, 2 weeks, whatever the case may be, then we would have somebody that would be very well suited to fall right in that position. You always need somebody that's ready to do that. And I would always hope that I would be in a position where they could call me if they needed me, you know, if it was something urgent. And I don't care if I was on vacation or what, but if it was urgent and the county needed me, I would head back this way. But I would want to have a man that was very capable of handling the office.
Mr. Whistle?
In the case of my absence while in the role of sheriff, to me, you have to look at it as short-term and long-term. Say you decide to go on a week vacation. This goes to just the basics of the foundation of the sheriff's office, establishing a chain of command within the sheriff's office. Identifying those that have the ability to act as chief deputy, lead investigator, patrol supervisor, and also to include within the jail administration. And in order to do that, we have to provide training to these individuals so that they know the job that they're doing. They have to. I also believe in allowing them to act in that role at times under supervision so that they're be in that role and know that they have somebody to turn to. For long term, I believe that it's, again, falls back to training, providing that management, supervision training so that they can develop themselves in their career and grow so that they, one day they have the opportunity to sit up here and seek the office of sheriff.
Mr. Carmichael?
Yeah, it comes down to strong administration. I mean, you gotta have strong administration and good leadership. If the leadership's not there, I mean, you're not gonna have a strong administration. Because, I mean, you ain't got a good, strong chief deputy investigator, patrol supervisor. I mean, you're not in on nothing. I mean, it comes down to leadership. So, I mean, you gotta have a strong leadership and strong administration. And at your absence, that it's still running. I mean, the department will still run as long as you got a strong administration.
Question number 4. Mr. Bloodworth, we'll begin with you, sir. If the Georgia General Assembly passes a bill that decriminalizes cannabis and it's signed by the governor, would you support it?
Well, if the governor signed off on it, I don't think I'd have a choice. I would have to support it. But the way the times are getting with all our dangerous drugs that's on the streets here, they're being tainted with different types of drugs, fentanyl. I've heard of some of them doing it with meth, putting it in the marijuana. And then people will smoke it, some of them die from it, some of them get really sick from it. But, yeah, just like I say, I would want it those, and I'm sure the state would do it, it would be state run. You would buy it from the state, small amounts. It wouldn't be no large amount that people could get, but like I say, if it went through the General Assembly and the governor signed it as sheriff,
I'd have to support whatever that bill comes down.
Mr. Whistle?
Governor were to enact it as a law, then we have to uphold it. Now, we're saying that they would have to make it very clear as to what they're legalizing and how they're legalizing it. And what type of possession an individual would be able to have on their person, or those that are allowed to manufacture it. So that is incumbent upon lawmakers to get that clear, then it's upon us to enforce those laws, but that has to be established in the laws to be very defined, very clear. But if they enact it, then yes, would have no choice but to support.
Mr. Carmichael?
Just like Jeff and Mr. Lois said, you have to support it as long as the government shows off on it, but it's coming. I mean, get ready when it's coming. I've been certified as a marijuana expert. I mean, test the marijuana, everything. They don't even give that class no more because it's coming. But they're gonna have to find a way to regulate. I mean, having personal use on you compared to 100 pounds in a car, that's a different story. I mean, but it's like they said, as long as the government signed off on it, you have to enforce the law that the government signed.
Mr. Ramirez?
I also agree with all of what the other candidates said on that topic. However, I will say it's very open question because like Jeff said, there's so much that comes in with that. It's like, how much can you have? What can you be doing with it? I mean, what were you doing when you had it? I mean, it's a plethora of different things you could open up with that wheelhouse. And also just to enlighten y'all, like Bruce said, that marijuana certified examiner's course has been out for several years, and firsthand knowledge, you go in Moultrie to the crime lab, drop stuff off. They're not testing marijuana anymore at all, unless it's a felony case and you have a good felony case or a substantial amount of marijuana, like bales and bales. So that's something you also gotta take into consideration. So it is coming down the pipeline. Do I think it would benefit Georgia as far as the revenue thing for the state? Yes. Now, my personal opinion on it, in all the 18 years I've worked and won a badge or a star and handled calls of service and dealt with people and talked to them and fought with them, I personally would rather deal with somebody in a hostile situation who is high on marijuana, because I've never, ever had to fight or lay hands on somebody who is just high on marijuana, a drunk or somebody who's methed out or a crackhead. Yeah, we're gonna fight every time. But people on weed, nah, I mean, everything's usually fine. They'll usually go along with what I say and get in the car.
Question number will begin with you. During these uncertain economic times, how do you plan on being financially responsible with taxpayer money to operate the sheriff's department?
In my current role within Department of Corrections, I'm responsible for the purchase of equipment for roughly 124 smaller law enforcement officers. And the difficulties in doing that, even with an agency that has over $1 billion budget, staying within that budget is crucial. There's no other way to operate but to be accountable for our finances. Now, in order to achieve the goals that we want to achieve within the sheriff's office, we're going to have that base. We can build off that base by seeking grants to assist us in the purchase of best vehicles, equipment, and the tools necessary for our deputies to do the job and to do their jobs safely. So bottom line is just that, balanced budget. Thank you.
Mr. Carmichael?
We're gonna have to apply for a lot of grants, a lot. You're gonna have to have some proactive deputies, gonna get out there and hit the streets, see if we can get some drugs, save the money. see some vehicles. I mean, that's the only way we're gonna get revenue in this county. Unless we're gonna be out here writing all the citizens of Wilcox County on speeding tickets. We don't want that. But, we're gonna have to get out here and have proactive deputies that's gonna get after us. Just to, I mean, we gotta get on the drug thing, and with drugs, it costs money. So, when we receive money, we can use that for equipment. Can't pay deputies, but we can use it for equipment. But that's about the only way you're gonna help the budget is drug seizure money and grants.
Mr. Ramirez?
I'll start off by saying this. Bruce is correct. You can do forfeitures and seizures on drug-related charges. However, you can also do them on criminal charges. Correct? But depends on what the circumstance it is, but yes, you can do them on criminal charges. I've done it as an investigator, so that, you know, that's something else you gotta take into consideration. Now, currently, I know in the year 2022, between the sheriff's office and the jail, the budget was $992,000, and they were over, according to what I got from open records, $294,000. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that is a problem because I'm paying that money, you're paying that money. I mean, and we gotta get a handle on this, y'all. Now, I was able to find, and like I said, I don't even know if anybody's writing grants for the county right now. But just in a quick Google search, I found about 6 or 7, and if you're not writing them, you're really not gonna get it. But I mean, there's no guarantee you're gonna get one, but you have to at least try to get one. The same thing as nonprofits. There's 7 or 8 nonprofits I did a quick Google search on and found that'll donate ballistic vests, canine equipment, medical equipment, and I have good firsthand knowledge on that. I was just sending an email and got an agency about $6,500 worth of life-saving supplies just by sending an email. I mean, it's just little stuff like that. It's just taking the initiative and just trying. You have to try, if you're gonna get anywhere. And we all gotta sit down and work together. And like I said, I have no intention of raising the starting deputy salary. We can sit down and talk about and work through like the insurance thing, and maybe there's some other stuff we can do to get staffing up. But I don't wanna do anything like that without proving to the county that the officers, they deserve it. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Bloodworth? Yes, sir. During these uncertain economic times, how do you plan on being financially responsible with taxpayer money to operate the sheriff's department?
The first thing I'd say is I would treat it as if it was my money. And you don't wanna take your money and throw it all away and end up having to bankrupt the county. I think we need to take it, look at it, schedule it where we know what's going on with it. Right now, my understanding, there's no list that shows where all the money has went to, and I think we need that. We need purchase orders when we go to buy something. I've always worked in management for the last 10 years anyway, and we had purchase orders. And we got to look at the vehicles, start a rotation basis on those. As far as the salaries, I think we can look at those. Some of them might not deserve the 17 an hour. You may have another one deserves 18, another one 19. I don't see why all the salaries have to be the same thing. I think we can set it to where it's based on that individual. But we just mainly need to sit down and go through everything and see where it's going.
Question number 6, and Mr. Carmichael, we'll begin with you. How would you ensure all areas of Wilcox County have effective law enforcement assistance, given the size of the county, the location of the sheriff's office, and the shortage of personnel.
One deputy on, not gonna happen. This is a big county. I mean, there's no way. I've answered calls in Pine View and had to haul butt to Boys Mill. That's a 45-minute hike, lights and siren. I mean, until you get fully staffed, there's no way you won't patrol this area efficiently. You could break the county up in zones. I said, but you're going to have the deputies to do, break it up in zones. Because if there's a deputy at the office and the pop call comes out to bids, I mean, it's gonna be a good 20-25 minute ride. And the deputies are putting their lives on the line for having speed through the county to get to that call. We're gonna have to hire more deputies. I mean, and then we're gonna have to break the county into zones to be patrolled efficiently. There's no way, I mean, this county is what, 300 and some square miles with one deputy? Not gonna happen.
Mr. Ramirez.
Realistically, it can't be done at this point in time because we just don't have the staff. Now, hypothetically, let's say we do have the staff. Let's say you got, 2 on at night and a swing shift, a supervisor. So swing shift would work 2 to 2. Let's just randomize that, 2 to 2. Rochelle is technically the center point of the county. So let's say if we are fully staffed, I would have the supervisor float, and you would have one officer on the west side, one officer on the east side, and then they would swap that, and that would also cover northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest. And then your supervisor would float, depending on what the call status was. If they get a call of service, he can go to that call and help if he needs to. And otherwise, those deputies are gonna stay in those spots and patrol and patrol and patrol and patrol. Because that's what they're getting paid to do, is get out there and ride to be in city. If it's day shift, we can all get out there and ride. There's nothing that says you can't. And if it's day shift, we need to be out there serving papers, because that's the best way to learn your roads and meet people in the county. Not looking at a Garmin, not looking at a Google Maps, get a map book, or just ride. That's how I learned this county all the years ago. Was just riding. Serving papers was the best way I learned the county. I know the south side of the county. I knew Rochelle, Abbeville, and Pitts, and Seaville. I didn't know nothing about the north end of the county. And that's how to ride it and learn it. That's how it's gotta be. It's gotta be split up. And that, to me, is the most effective way to do that. You have the supervisor float.
Mr. Bloodworth.
Right now, I know it's been years ago, but they wasn't but 2 of us, the sheriff and myself. And we worked this entire county for about 2 years. And yes, it was tough. We put in a lot of hours. But I'm used to doing that, and until we could build up, I think I could handle that because I'm used to doing it. It's tough when you talk about being on one side, the other side calls, it takes a little while to get them. If we keep men one on one side, one on the other, once we get up to staff, that'll be fine. And, they're not gonna sit around the gas stations in Rochelle and talk. You know, that's what a lot of them do. They're paid to work. They're gonna be out patrolling. The more they're seen in areas, the less crime we have. But far as for right now, with the small amount of help, I am used to doing that, and I feel like I could do it again until we can get some more help on it.
Mr. Weston.
Obviously, we're limited by the number of staff members that we have, number of deputies that we can have out on the road at one time. That right there is a major factor. More deputies that we're able to hire and get out on the road, more coverage we're able to have. Under the current state that we're in right now, when we have two cities that both have police departments. So our deputies should be spending the majority of their time outside of those jurisdictions. Now, if those jurisdictions need assistance, then by all means, our deputies should be there for them. Because in return, our deputies are going to need the assistance from those two departments as well. While they're out, one way that we can keep a checks and balances on it and also ensure that Seaville, Owensboro area, Owensville area is being checked on, is that you could have call-ins. Have that deputy ride that area, stop at a business, call him back into the office, let them know up there. Now, can we spend our deputies spend all day driving around? That's probably not very realistic, because then we get into budget. Because that is going to burn up a lot of fuel to cover the number of miles that we have, roads that we have in this county. But officer presence is the biggest deterrence to deterring crime. We do want them out there, but they will have to find some place to sit sometime, monitor traffic. But we just have to get creative with what we have, and hopefully we can build it.
Question number 7, Mr. Ramirez, will begin with you. What are the key things that caused budget failure in the past?
Well, just to be honest, I haven't worked here in a long time, so I'm not really sure. I'm assuming, well, I mean, I don't know how they've been able to purchase the vehicles they purchased. I mean, the county commissioners do set and approve the budget. So I'm not sure how they've been going over budget, with the exception of out and housing inmates, with the jail situation. I know for a fact that costs a lot of money, because like I said earlier, there's some places that are charging between $35, $45, maybe even $55 per inmate. So that's, you know, you gotta take that into consideration. That money adds up really, really, really quick when Wilcox County doesn't have its own jail. It's up to code, it can house its own people and our inmates. So that goes back to the whole situation of, we gotta have a jail bill. Juice is worth the squeeze on that. We're just gonna have to keep, I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We're just gonna have to keep biting that bullet until the new jail gets built. And after that, it's gonna work itself out. But I'm pretty confident that's probably where most of the money's been spent, is out housing inmates. And probably overtime too, because we're so short-staffed. They're just, you're having to pay time and a half for these people coming into work all the time. That's gonna add up real quick too.
Mr. Bloodworth?
I'm not really sure either, but it does look like, just in my opinion, what I used to know, fleet of new trucks all along the road. I don't know how many they are, but, trucks and SUVs, I don't know how many deputies they are, but if they not but one or two, I know I've seen a whole lot more vehicles than that on the road. 8 to 10 at least, probably. But as far as an inmate, according to the Georgia Sheriff's Association, it costs about $45 a day to house an inmate. That's if you house him at your jail. So it's not really costing a whole lot more to house them elsewhere. So that's just an option to look at. If you can house them elsewhere for what you can house them here, it may be something that we work out with another county, that we can have a joint jail to house ours and theirs together. That's just something I thought of. I don't know if, we'd be able to do that, but it's an option. I see my blue sign, so I'm gonna go ahead and wind it up.
Mr. West? Yes, sir. What are the key things that caused budget failure in the past?
not knowing what those key factors were or what the budget looked like. So I cannot speak on this matter. And the one thing that I could say and that I would do upon taking office is review the previous budget years and see if there were discrepancies, what areas those were in, and where we can improve on those to make sure that meets the budget each year. But I cannot speak. I have no knowledge of those, so I don't want to speak upon what possible errors there were.
Mr. Carmichael.
I've seen the budget and it's coming from sending inmates to other jails and all the overtime. Well, we got 2 deputies on the we had one with, I think, 64 hours overtime this past pay period. I mean, when you only got 2 deputies, what can we do? I mean, we working all the part-time guys we can, but you know how part-time is. They might come in, they might not. So, I mean, we have to carry a shift and until we get full staff in a new jail situation, I said, it's gonna be okay.
Gentlemen, final question. Mr. Bloodworth, we'll begin with you. Do you have any plans to create or work with the county's youth regarding public safety and crime prevention?
I think that's a great question there. It starts when they're young. Need to have a program in the school for the youth to let them know the dangers of what the drugs are that's on these streets. They take one and that's all it is. They're gone, they're dead. It's happening every day. Every day it's happening in Georgia, not just in the big towns either, in the small towns. But we do need to get a program started and making them just scare the daylights out of them before we get to do it. To let them know that it's real, that this ain't no just a plaything that you can do. And, we already have a officer here at the school. And she could hold some of them and we could bring somebody in that's really qualified in that area to hold some of those classes. But I really think it needed to get started and right away. Because our youth is our future. And we've got to help them all we can. And they may not listen to that, but at least we'll be trying.
Mr. Wesson?
The role that I see the sheriff's office with our youth, impacting our youth, is, yeah, Mr. Lloyd stated, we've got to start young. We've got to be involved as much as we can. Now, understand with our current staffing issues, it's going to be tough for us to be involved, be in the schools with the 4-H programs, the FFA, with the rec department. But we need to take advantage of every opportunity that we have to be able to get involved at any point in the youth's lives and our kids' lives. When I walked in here, it was kind of strange because over the years, the only reason I was coming in here was for our 3 kids, for the activities that they were involved in. And I recognized the importance and see now what it did for them. And I think, the sheriff's department, we need to encourage them up here many nights with 4-H BB teams. The other parents that were involved, not just their children, but involved with the other children that were involved with that. So overall, sheriff's department needs to be involved. it takes everybody within the community, within the county to be involved and get engaged with our children. And we will lose them at an early age and they will start traveling down again. Unfortunately, could leave them in jail, in prison, with an addiction that they can't break, can't afford that.
Mr. Carmichael.
Yeah, so we do have the chance program that SRO Lawson, Sergeant Lawson puts on. We can do anything from their program to the police departments. But like I said, I've been a part of this youth for a while. I coached the rec department for 10 years. But I see it starts at home first. But we gotta find some way to reach out for these young people. We gotta put a plan together. Because the gangs are coming. Everybody thinks Wilcox County is, it's not gonna happen. It's coming. Just my short time in Benton Hill County, I mean, it went from a little bit of nothing to, I mean, it's floorboard now bad the shootings are in Benton Hill County. Right now. You think Chris County's bad? Look at Benton Hill County. They're going every week. But like I say, we're gonna have to get in there in the school system and put something together to get a hand on it before they even start.
Mr. Ramirez.
I'd like to open this up with, I'm going to say something that I teach in one of my classes, which is titled Community Oriented Policing. Robert Peel said this, he said, the public are the police and the police are the public. Because I'm still a cop now, but I'm still a person, still a member of this county. All of you, if we have a problem, citizens are the ones who are gonna tell the police about it. So, that being said, y'all are the police, just like we are, because y'all are the ones who alert us and you're our eyes and ears to the future. That being said, it's very critical to be involved with the parents and the children together. Now, while I was working in Benton Hill County, I taught the class up and Lee Collins had to go and teach it every quarter at schools. And I taught it in the middle school, but not the high school because it's starting younger and younger. I labeled the class called Decisions, and I would love to be able to teach that over here. And it's about the dangers of social media, about what all these kids are getting into with Snapchat and Facebook Live and all that kind of stuff, and the ramifications of that can come from that. And I would love to be involved and be able to teach that here. I've also even thought about, me and Charles Fudge talked about it, getting together, and with the Board of Education and the school's permission, setting up like a mock rec scene at the high school and letting the students get out there and pretend to be actors and, you know, the police pull up and EMS pull up and the fire truck pull up and, you know, that way they can see what it's like. You know, we'll have to take blood out there and everybody can get a taste of what the dangerous drinking and driving or doing drugs and driving are. They can get firsthand experience with that. I'd like to be able to teach a child car seat class. If you don't know how to put your car seat in right, come to the sheriff's office and I can help show you how to do it, or one of the other guys can. I mean, just stuff like that. We got a coffee shop in Atherville now. With Mindy's permission, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't do what other agencies do and do like a coffee with a cop and have it on Facebook, because the community needs to know their officers. Sorry, Nick.
Questions that we have, we want to give each candidate an opportunity now for a closing statement. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for that closing statement. When we opened up with opening statements, we began with Mr. Wessel, and so we're just going to reverse the order. And with our closing statements, we'll begin with Mr. Bloodworth.
In closing, I just want to thank everyone for being here and, listening to each and every one, the ideas that we have. And I'd like to ask, you know, if you would to vote for me. I think, you know, I can be right in the middle of it with them, but we need to start community patrol in our small communities in the county. Folks see us as special jobs. No, if they no more than right to tag, what kind of car it is. Just keep it in case you hear there was a burglary in that area that day. That happens all the time. And somebody will be seeing the vehicle that done it and not even know it. So get your pen and pad and keep it in the car. When you see something don't look right, write it down. You'd be surprised how much that would help us. But like I say, it's gonna depend on all of us. Y'all and us, whoever's elected, to get this thing going, to where we can get our community safer and also get some of the drugs off the streets. Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez, your closing statement, please.
I would like to thank the chamber for setting this up and letting us all come in and, be able to speak and meet and greet people, and y'all can hear our opinions and see what we have to say. So thank you guys for doing that. My platform since I announced in August was, I'm not a politician, I'm a peace officer, and I'm gonna stand firm on that. So that being said, I'm just gonna be blunt here. I'm not gonna cater to anybody if I'm elected based on who they are, what their last name is. I believe it should be fair across the board, and I'm sure some of y'all have heard this, it's not what you do, it's who you are or who you know. And I don't agree with that statement whatsoever, and I'm tired of it. I'm a firm believer, and it should be just square across the way. And I'm not saying there's jail, everybody needs to go to jail. That falls back on something else I'd like to have deputies involved in, which is something I've done, which is, crisis intervention training for mental health problems. We had a meeting this month with DFACS where we met all the, new caseworkers and everything. That was very insightful on that. I'm the parent of an autistic child, so I understand the need for mental health. You gotta have that training, y'all, and the deputies need to know what's going on, and I'd be more than happy to offer the EMS as well. But I just want to say that I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, so I'm not a baker, but if you do what you've always done, you're gonna get what you've always got. And it's 2023, and I think it's time for a change for the county, because the way things are going, it's just getting worse and worse, and we need to try and get ahead of it. So I humbly ask for your vote, but I will say this. I want y'all to vote for who your gut tells you think would be the best for the job. So thank you.
Mr. Carmichael?
Like I said, I appreciate y'all coming. It shows a lot to have this many people here that's ready to vote on. Would have been a special election, no presidential election. It's hard to get out folks to vote, but I'm glad y'all here. I would appreciate your vote, but you got 4 good candidates right here. I'm good friends with all of them. I think the world of all of them. Either one, you're gonna make a good choice. I say, but the only thing I can say is just go pray before you vote. Just pray and let the good Lord just will you to your candidate. Thank you.
Mr. Whistle?
I want to thank everybody for coming out, because obviously this shows your concern for this position of sheriff. Thank you to the chamber for setting this up and this opportunity for us to speak for everybody here. That's the reason why I'm running. I'm running for the people of this county. I chose this as my home over 33 years ago, and it will continue to be. And that has grown over the years because of the people that I've come to know and the influence that they've had, not just on myself, but on my family. We have grown. There's only actually 3 Russells living in the county right now, but there's only 6 with the addition of Taylor in the area. But our family extends much further. That is why I want to come home and bring my experience, my training here to all of the citizens here in Wilcox County. I've been fortunate with my career with the Department of Corrections that I've been able to attend specialized training, not just in tactics, not just in investigations. I went through the GBI, basic agent course, but also in management and supervision. There's one that really stood out to me that I attended 2 years ago, and it was CIT, it's critical incident training. And that was dealing with the public and more importantly, how as a law officer, when we come into contact with those that have special needs, that may have a mental illness, may have an addiction, and it showed us how to differentiate between those and deal with those and bringing that and de-escalating a situation as opposed to escalating. And I would bring that to our office and especially our young deputies. Thank you.
So in closing, I want to thank you for coming. These are your candidates for Wilcox County Sheriff. Be sure to exercise your God-given constitutional right. Go and vote on election day. Now, each one of these gentlemen, they are going to be hanging around to visit with you, to talk with you. If you've not had the opportunity to meet them, if you've not had the opportunity to ask your own question, they are willing to stay and visit with you, talk with you. Thank you for coming tonight. Hang around and visit with them, and by a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, your Wilcox County Sheriff candidates, tell them how much you appreciate it. So one other thing, early voting is going on, and it's 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, at the Board of Elections, and there is one more opportunity for Saturday voting, so you have the opportunity to vote early. Thank you for coming.
Oh, I've done.